All right, everybody. So this is our first interview on the Ugly Show, and to start it all off, I've got one of my closest brothers in the world, Ricardo Pereyda, specialist, Ugly One Bravo, from 2003 2005. How you doing, Rick?
I'm good. I'm
Yeah,
really good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So where you at now? Where you?
I came back home. I'm in Tucson, Arizona, right where I started my journey. Didn't go far. I'm literally less than a mile from where I was born.
Yeah.
Um, what about you, man? How's life? You're looking great. I love the beard.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's a little gray, and stuff like that, but I figure why not flaunt it,
Great color. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
If you
Thanks. Yeah, I'm
start
here.
trying to diet, I'm gonna make fun of you.
Yeah, no, I did that once when I first retired. I dyed it and I thought it looked stupid as hell. So I
Did you
never
break
did it.
out? Did you get
Huh?
all rash? Did you
It,
get
it
all
looked like red beard almost, it really did.
I take
So
that back. I think we should do stuff for St. Patrick's Day and whatever, like theme it out, right?
yeah,
Especially as you get more and more free near retirement.
right. Yeah, if I can get out from under this AER or AR 190-56, which is the basic same as 670-1. That's all he did was cut and paste it into the civilian police corps where I gotta, but hey, we're wearing a mask nowadays, so I'm
Right.
always wearing a mask. So hey,
Standards have evolved.
yeah. Well, if one of my bosses sees this, and of course, you guys
Well,
might
yeah,
be seeing me baby face later on.
yeah, we've never really been good at keeping things a secret for too long.
Yeah,
It's
like a
like, oops,
baby giraffe.
like,
Huh? Like
yeah, we did it ourselves.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm still here in Germany, man. I retired in 2016 out of Stuttgart, and I was lucky enough to get the job here in K-Town. Came up here, and we've been here ever since. What, 4 years
So when you
now?
say you got the job in K-Town, like that's not just any job. I understand you were like what, like chiefy or something, chief of police,
Yeah,
something like that.
I started out as a desk sergeant, a DACP desk sergeant for us. But then, the lieutenant who's the police chief for Kaiserslautern was leaving, and uh, Lieutenant Colonel Baizon, the director of emergency services, he wanted to
Great
grow his
name.
own. Basically, he was like, "Hey," he came to me, and then the guy I retired with out of the 554th, Jamal Williams, we both retired the same day and got the same job. We were the midnight shift.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. So 20 plus years, these two guys, retire on the same day from Stuttgart. We get the job up here. We're both the midnight shift desk sergeants. It was a great gig. But when the chief left, Colonel Baizon was like, "Look, I want to grow my own, basically, and I want you guys to take over as the police chief for Baumholder and police chief for Kaiserslautern, because I don't want to hire somebody that I don't know nothing about." And we're like, "Okay, that's understandable." And so they promoted us to GS9s from GS7, and put lieutenant bars on my shoulders. They kind of stink though. Those lieutenant bars, they kind of dig into my shoulders.
Oh, but they're so pretty.
But
The
I gotta
thought
be
of
quiet though, because we got some officers too. We got what, lieutenant colonel,
hey, they're people
Guy
too.
Ford Workman,
Whoop, whoop.
and we got Major Fisher, Ari Fisher, who was our lieutenant in the 06 deployment, and he's a major now, from last I heard. So I gotta be careful how I talk about officers.
Yeah, you dust them soldiers off there, guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
So
amazing. I'm not gonna forget that challenge coin. Heffley and I better get a challenge coin.
yeah.
It's gonna happen. Or I'm just gonna show up to your spot and then take something that's meaningful to me, and then that'll be my challenge coin. I was like, you know who I got this from?
Yeah, I have been looking around. There is a place on Ramstein Air Base that does that stuff too. So, we'll do another Mandalorian, and just call it like a commemorative coin instead of like active duty. That way it's for everybody. Yeah.
I'm down with it.
Are you down? I know you're down with it. You've been bugging me about this challenge coin for over like a year and a half.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna let it go. Dude, how? No, who? Chief of police? Are you kidding me? Man, no, man. That's a big deal, man.
Well, I mean, it's a lot of work though, so I'm kind of like looking forward to not doing
Retirement.
it. I mean, not doing it too much long. I don't want to do it forever. I want to eventually one day retire and
I think you've
do like
earned
the
the right
Heffley
to go
does, and
fishing.
no, I'm sorry, do like Marco Dominguez does,
There you go. Yeah.
and just his full-time job is fishing, which shout out
Being
to
a
him. He
dad,
gets some really nice fish.
those fish are amazing. Are you
Yeah,
kidding me? The
and you can
pictures that he
tell
sent.
it's an
We got to go
influence.
on a fishing trip. We
And,
got to head to Colorado.
yeah, and Heffley is completely trying to mirror himself off of Marco because he's out there
He's
fishing in Hawaii all the time.
another one, man. Like fantastic pictures, like all the sea turtle videos that he sends me.
Yeah,
He's coming back stateside pretty soon. And I'm excited, but
yeah.
he's going to the south. Not really excited about that, but it is what it is. We were joking about getting side by side houses so that we can go off the back porch and just do a long shooting range.
Okay.
So he'll be on his back porch, I'll be on my back porch, and we'll just be taking targets down.
All right. Hey, so I want to ask you for the audience here.
Right. So the reason why we're here.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been great. But let's talk about some ugly shit.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So you came right out of AIT. You and Hef both came right out of AIT and did basic training in probably June or July of 03.
Yeah.
You know, not too long before. And I know in October is when we formed, and then I became your team leader and Hef's team leader, and we started. So what do you remember about our training time? Help me fill in some of the blanks on my memory lapses.
I remember everything, but what am I going to speak on?
Right. Yeah. Just what you feel you can speak of. Yeah. We all know that you never had a filter on your voice, so
it was just like you were talking about in your last video, from the frying pan into the fire is a really good description for it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I got in and started my process through maps and stuff like that, like getting through to Fort Leonard Wood in like January, February, graduated May, shot over to Germany, got situated there. We were in the old barracks, and like right by the gate, which was pretty cool. It was real nostalgic, you know what I mean? Like all the wood floors and just thinking about all the different people that had been there in that space, and then watching the Marine Corps beat each other up every morning in that courtyard was intense. Like that's the first thing I get when I get there. It's like, all right, well, they're motivated, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but,
we hit that quad area where it was us, and then you had the Marines, and on the far side you had the Navy SEALs. So yeah, it was
right.
pretty intense.
And then you had like the first attempt, I think, was back there too. You know what I mean? So, but I do remember there was some shenanigans taking place around the Marine Corps emblem. I don't know what was going on there, but
they were messing with our guide on. I remember that they took our guide on,
and it was reciprocated. But anyway,
yeah.
But it was Shilkey was, I think, Shilkey and Weller were my first leaders when I got to the unit. Yeah. And one of the first people that I met was Marco. And right away, we were like just kind of shot each other some snarky back and forth. And we're pretty much friends immediately. We just didn't act like it.
Yeah.
And Halsey was there, I remember, and him and Shilkey and Warren and everybody and Young would always jam out in the barracks.
Logan had the drum set.
It was fun. It was like, all right, cool, I can get with this, you know. So it was serious, right? We were doing serious work. We were getting ready, and there was rumors about what was going to happen because we already had a platoon that had gone out and were doing their
third platoon. Third platoon went to OIF 1.
That's right, with Jaquez and all them. So we knew that something else was going to happen. It wasn't just a one-off. You know, this thing just popped off, and we're going. We just don't know where or when. Mm-hmm. And so when we moved into the new barracks, it was shortly thereafter when it was like, okay, this is what's up. This is who we got tasked out right now. These are the people that volunteered. These are the ones that are voluntold. I was on the ladder list. But it was just like, okay, well, this is what's up then. This is, hello. And so we got acquainted, right? And then Heffley was there at that point. He had just got to the unit.
But I gotta say, Rick, I really didn't like you when I first met you.
I didn't like you either.
I know you hated me. You hated me. I was like, this kid straight off the street, don't give a damn about, you know, customs and courtesies. And I was this, you know, stickler for that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Which, you know.
Well, you weren't wrong.
Well, yeah, but eventually it wore off a little bit because I realized, hey, we're training for war here, and I'm gonna be right to the left seat and right seat, and right.
I was a good worker too.
Huh?
I was good. I talked a lot of shit, but I was a good worker.
Oh hell yeah, you made it happen. You guys all made it happen. But I tell you what, man. But I'm just glad it got to the point where, when other people were fed up with you, you and I had a relationship finally where I could be like, hey man, look, I get it, but you gotta, you know, reel it in a little bit, pull the reins on that mouth, so you don't get yourself in trouble.
To be fair, I come by it honest, and also I'm still getting told the same shit today.
Well, hey, sometimes you can't change what's permanently embedded in you.
Well, and again,
but yeah, eventually I fell in love with you, and I fell in love with Heffley and the rest of our squad and platoon. But yeah, and now I'm glad, almost what, 20 years later, 18 years later now,
18,
you know, we're still just a Zoom call away, and we can pick it up just like we did back then when we were nut tapping each other and all that stuff. Excuse my language. Yeah, we did that stupid game. Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I was really surprised that I was able to have 3 kids after that year. Yeah.
Oh, shenanigans. No, I mean, I love you too, man. Fucking always, forever, absolutely, no questions asked. Sold out for ugly, but especially sold out for the hard-ons.
Hard-onus, Peters.
That's my soul. You know what I mean? That squad. I'm proud to be an ugly member, but I'm honored to be a member of the hard-on squad. You know what I mean?
Damn right. And for those of you that don't know what hard-ons are, it's a silly name we came up for ourselves for the first squad of First Platoon, because we were the only ones, well, at that time, for that deployment, we were the only squad that was all male. So, you know, we even came up with a stick where Travis carved
stiff staff.
Yeah, that we called it the stiff staff, and it was
impressive.
It was commemorative to the word hard-ons.
Imposing.
So first squad hard-ons. Oh.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't get us in trouble.
Jesus, that's something that I haven't done in a while. Why did you make me do that right now, man? I haven't done the thing.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Hey, you can't shake it out of you. You still got some in you.
Yeah. Just a drip. So
you're in Phoenix, Arizona, right?
No, I'm not. I'm in Tucson, Arizona.
Tucson, okay. I didn't know there was a huge difference. I'm sorry.
There's a major difference.
Okay, but I think I said Phoenix because you went to the University of Phoenix, right?
No. All right.
I thought you were doing classes at University of Phoenix.
Deep water. Just ask me where I went to school, and I'll tell you before you start insulting people.
So you're gonna tell me that at no time you did not take any class at Phoenix, University of Phoenix. I thought for sure I heard you say a long time.
Zero.
Oh, all right. Well, that's why I've got this going on, so you guys can fill in them blanks from my fuzzy memory.
It's great. That's why you're
all right. So what is that? What is that? University U of A, University of Arizona.
That's right. The University of Arizona.
Okay.
Wildcats.
Okay.
Wildcats. So
sorry to offend your.
Yeah, you did.
His thin skin.
Sunday, I shouldn't even be cursing. This is God's day, and you have me over here like a heathen with my mouth. whatever, because I'm talking about the Sun Devils, right? In any case, we're going to move on from this. Yes.
So you're in Arizona.
I'm in Arizona. I'm in Tucson, Arizona, which is home to the University
Isn't it
of Arizona.
it's like spelled Tuscan or something like that?
Tucson, like Tucson. Tucson.
But we screwed it up by saying Tucson. Okay, get it. And I know you've been working on your backyard, which looks like a desert with some cactuses and stuff like that.
Man, I'm a gardening.
I see you've got some great furniture and books and American flag right there. And I see the ugly painting that Travis gave you back in the day. Yeah. Mine's in my office. I'm going to bring it here so I can put it on some of the episodes. But yeah.
Well, that's another great painting though. Let's talk about training and stuff though, because we're going to get caught up in story. This is going to be an 8-hour recording. And then everybody's going to be like, really?
All right. So Lamper time was one of the, it's not something that I don't think they have it anymore. The training area is all in Grafenwehr now, but I know we went to Lamper time and did a lot of the training for it. But I remember I want to talk about the shots heard around the world in the Humvee. Okay. So we learned a very valuable lesson going through the lanes where we were shooting targets from a vehicle.
Don't say we, an individual team learned a valuable lesson from another squad.
But I'm telling you, 20 years later, I still think about that. And I've always said, make sure them, even before I retired, make sure them bipads are out and outside the window, because back in the day, this is what happened. And everybody's like, holy crap, really? Yep, it did happen. So that was part of a safety brief on the ranges.
It should be part of all mandatory safety briefings, but also just like for future reference, it shouldn't be done. If you're going to be firing your saw, right? First of all, make sure it's mounted properly out of the turret. You know what I mean? But if you're in a oh no situation and you first of all, if you have the saw dismounted and you're in a situation where you're outside the wire down range, right? That's kind of a really situation first and foremost, right? But anyway, if you're in a situation, you have to put that saw because you have an extra person in the back of your Humvee with a saw and the window's down. Okay, so what you're gonna do, right, is make sure it's out the window first and foremost. And then when it's out the window, kick your bipods down. So when it kicks back, it doesn't kill the driver.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Do you remember who that driver was? I can't remember who.
I'm not going to mention names. Are you fucking high?
No. No, I'm just trying to remember who almost got shot. I can't remember.
Oh, man. OPSEC, homie. No, but it is a valuable training tool, and how it was handled was very disappointing.
In-house, but it was in-house.
Well, it was disappointing. And for training standards and deployment readiness, and for the amount of time, money, and energy we put into each individual troop that's heading down range in that very serious, no bullshit situation, the fact that we took somebody like that just to set a precedent, and the fact that within a couple weeks they were on suicide watch, and within a month or so they were out of theater, back doing whatever, we lost somebody, not even the enemy, whatever. We were already down a person before we already went. So it's one of those things where we didn't do ourselves a lot of favors with what we let slid and what it is that we made a point to make examples of.
But the question is, were we better off losing one or better off keeping that person?
Who could have replaced that? Because when you think about it, ask the replacements. And I'd love to hear what they have to say, because they were in Germany. Like when we started being like, okay, we need more people to come up. It was like
Frank was one of them, right? Frank came in as a replacement.
Frank's came in, and then
Frank's. We have to talk to him.
We had a bunch of people that came.
Because I know we lost
Rockford and his crew.
We lost a few people before the deployment to other stupid stuff too, like some drug use.
Well, we had some people that were engaged in recreational activities that the military doesn't really consider to be appropriate recreational activities. And again, rather than take that to a level where it's like, look, they did something stupid. They're young. This is a really serious situation that they're about to head into. Maybe they're just trying to blow out some steam. You know what I mean? But they took two individuals that you know what? And I think it worked out well for them. I think having talked to them now, right, years later, far removed from the situation, they were well served by what it is that took place. And I think that looking back on it, that was some kind of divine intervention that put those two on a course where now, if you look at them, they're doing some really good work in their community.
Like to hear about that offline.
Stuff like that.
Yeah,
You
next
know
time I talk to you offline, let me know about that. That's a
absolutely.
good. That'd be great to hear about that. That's awesome. I'm glad. It makes me feel good.
And everything happens for a reason, though. You know what I mean? I think that's one thing that I took away from the situation that we were in downrange. Number one, it's random. Number two, like, it happens because it happens. You know, because it's there. It's supposed to be there because it's there, right? Fuck what you want. Fuck how you thought about it, had it planned out, or what you were anticipating. This is what's here. And this is what you have to work with. And so being able to adapt and overcome and work on the fly like that, I think is something that our platoon ultimately really honed in and defined as a unique skill set of this basically QRF platoon that's getting tasked out to all these other companies to use as a force multiplier.
Well said.
Bam. Let's
talk about nicknames.
Oh shit.
So,
let's not. Where's my water?
I think the most memorable one is J-Bone. I love the name J-Bone.
By the way, and I'm still mad at us for not following through with that fucking calendar.
The calendar?
Calendar. The J-Bone calendar.
I don't remember that one. Tell us.
Absolutely. No, I'm not going to tell you. You should be ashamed of yourself. I hope J-Bone calls you out. I hope J-Bone sees this and calls you out. You don't remember him sitting any?
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah.
The
oh my god.
He's like sitting there like this, and his feet are hung up in the back. Oh god, yes, the J-Bone calendar. That would have been great.
God damn.
Oh, man. We got to find them pictures. Hey, you guys, if you
have it,
I have it. Okay, you got to send it to me. We got to make the J-Bone calendar.
Yeah.
All right. So for those ugly members or those who are watching that are not ugly, that just think this is silly and want to watch it anyway, J-Bone was the nickname we gave to one of our members. His last name is Jumonville, Roy Jumonville, and great member of our team, loved him to death. He's down in Louisiana, I believe.
No, he's in Texas now.
Oh, he's in Texas now. Okay.
But he's from Louisiana.
Shout out to Jumonville, who is affectionately known as J-Bone. I still remember his big butt in that smart car that he had.
But I really know what you're thinking.
But he's in that little smart car, and on the back, you know how it says smart, and he had a sticker that said "Kiss my," and then put ass after the smart. Kiss my smart ass. So J-Bone, yeah. So and then Heffley, Heffley was our gunner. F Rage, yeah, and he got that nickname one day when I told him that we were loading up our Humvee according to the load plan. Had to make sure that that box of MREs was in that slanted part of the Humvee, and he couldn't get it in there because it was a strong box that did not want to fold into the curve of the Humvee. And he just went off on it, just punching it as hard as he could until it finally squished inside there. And
made it work.
Damn, Hef Rage, and it just stuck. It stuck. Yeah, he did make it work. Hef Rage. And then me,
I like how you're building this up, by the way.
Marco kept on going over the radio one day talking about Manuel. Man, I'm like, it's not Manuel, it's not Manuel. I kept getting mad. Like, my name's Manuel, it's not Manuel. And then he's like Mandingo, and he's like, not because of the.
Yeah, see, I reeled in, man.
So yeah, he's Mandingo. So it just kind of stuck. So
like
yeah.
A baby.
And now I'm affectionately known as Mandingo. Or as Lieutenant Ari Fisher from our second deployment, he was like, look, I'm a grown man. I'm not calling another grown man Mandingo. I'll call you, and he shortened it and said, I'll call you Dingo.
Oh, well, hey, that's not bad. That's still pretty good.
So yeah, he shortened it to Dingo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now,
yeah.
What else? What else on the comments that you saw from the last video that you can fill in some blanks for? It was Camp Virginia, right?
Yeah. It was Camp Virginia. And then we did a little when we were heading out to Baghdad after we had acclimated and whatnot. I remember a stop, and we were in this like old ass hangar or something, this concrete hangar.
Yeah.
You remember that? And we were,
we were on that. It was a Kuwaiti air base that we had been on waiting for the.
Yeah, we bopped over there and we were just waiting. And so I remember sitting with Walter, and we were going over our weapons fucking shit, right? Disassembling, reassembling, stuff like that. Yeah. And then timing each other, and then doing the shit blindfolded or whatever, just to make sure that we had our shit together. Yeah. Just killing time, right? So I remember that. And then that combat landing was a motherfucker. And I think those fly boys get off on that, right?
Yeah.
On Anyway, it was like a tornado kind of drill down motion. Yeah. And I remember the flares were once we got closer to the ground, they shot off the flares.
So that was flares they were shooting on, not bullets.
No, it was flares that came off the fucking.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's just in case, as far as I understand, you have anything like heat seeking or whatever, sends it away from
like
the
strafe or whatever they call it. The flares that get a
whatever
blow up before it hits the thing.
Yeah, but I remember getting into BIOP and not really fully appreciating just how fucking big that place was.
Yeah,
how
it's a little city.
It's a city within Baghdad. Yeah. And so when they put us on the back of that 5-ton and we were all nuts butt and laying down like that, we all just had our empty ass rifles. I was like, what the fuck is this though? You know what I mean? Like, so are we just like in the city, just like mobbing over to our base with nothing in our shit? Yeah. And so again, like
I remember getting in that 5-ton. And I thought we were all outside the installation. I was like, oh crap. I'm like, I got my weapon here. I'm like, okay. I didn't realize that we were actually in our secured zone, because it did, like you said, it looked like its own little city. So I didn't know we were on post.
And so then we traveled along that little side road, the back road, right? And then come up and then made our way through. I remember when we were told that our Humvees got jacked.
This is before we went to Kuwait. Yeah, we had those soft skin Humvees we were about to go into Iraq with, and
we had kept them up. We had cleaned them. They were fucking shiny. They were brand new.
But they were soft skin. So then when they called saying that, hey, we're going to take your stuff because we're here first, they took it. They signed for it, and we ended up falling in on armored Humvees. So it worked out for us.
But even the M1114s that we got were like, some of them were shot up, you know what I mean? Some of them like needed work. And we still ended up having to put extra armor on our shit. We put that bumper, that big ass bumper on Marco's truck.
Yeah. But we ended up going the whole year with no air conditioning when everybody else had air conditioning because of
our air conditioning
had busted our
air conditioning worked fine in the winter. And our heater worked perfect.
No, in the winter.
So I don't know what you're talking about. It wasn't equipment failures.
You don't remember? No, we went to that place on Biop
Of
where
course I
the
remember. Fucking
air
sucked.
conditioning
Yeah.
place, and they
Third
told us
shot.
that they could not fix it because the lines had been punctured. That's why they couldn't
I
fix
don't
it.
I don't know. I don't remember that.
Yeah, I talked to the guy there, and he
Our
was like,
vehicle, I don't know. I
"Well, it's
don't
probably
remember
because you're from
our vehicle.
Arizona and you just
I don't remember our
you
vehicle
do some
ever
hot ass."
that shit up. No, man. I mean, there's a reason why you always saw me around with water, a big ass jug of water. You know what I mean? Yeah, I grew up playing football and sports in the desert.
We
And
all drank
our
water.
temperature is similar to Baghdad, right?
But I remember sweating so much through our 2-3 hour convoy escorts. I sweat so much I didn't have to piss. That's what. So that tells you we didn't have air conditioning, and we had that cooler behind me where we put those
Yeah.
little neck things inside the ice and then put it around. I was sweating all the time. So
No,
maybe
listen.
you
I
didn't have
agree
as
with
hard
you.
of
Like,
a time as me, but because I'm from Michigan, all right, so I can't handle serious
no,
hot, sweaty, humid weather.
I can't handle it either, dude. I fucking hate it. And I question myself constantly why the fuck I moved back to Tucson, Arizona every summer, every single summer. But I love it here. This is my home, right? I came back to die here. This is my Alamo. And I'm trying to live my life as best I can here. But it does remind me a lot like Baghdad, especially when I get out on the highway. I'm like, fucking, I get shades of Tampa, and it's like, ugh. But no, man, the sweat. I remember after mission, we would get out, we would take our gear off, and then down to my ankles, or not my ankles, but my knees.
Yeah.
It just I would have like a line of sweat, like that crust sweat, and then it just be wet. Yeah, it just be wet all the way up. And then I remember getting cold shivers and shit. Because we lost a lot of water. Dude, we were especially sitting next to that doghouse.
Which dog?
What I do remember about our vehicle is that it almost fucking killed us, right? Huh. The leak from the head, the engine that was leaking fucking carbon dioxide in our shit, why we always felt really tired, and why we were remember we were at one moment fucking during our routine missions and shit, like we were always tired. It was because we had a cracked head or whatever the fuck. And when me and the mechanic found that out and fixed it, it got better. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but if we didn't
maybe it burnt my brain cells that I don't remember that.
Dude, if we didn't have the turret open, we would have been fucked.
Oh, really?
Damn. We would have been fucked, dude.
Well, yeah, I don't remember hearing about that. I'm glad you figured it out. That would have been bad.
Well, I mean, Crumb, our mechanic, was like, "Hey, you know your head, fucking whatever," So we fixed it during one of our routine shit, because we were always back there, Hef and I or whatever, working on the truck. When we weren't doing mission or working on our gear or whatever, doing PT. But
so, what did you like most about being on BIOP? Like about having that chow hall across the street and our new hooches, and what's your memories on that?
It was definitely better than the Marines had it under that bridge in Tampa.
Oh,
and
wow,
there are other fobs, you know what I mean? Right there by that river though, that stinking ass river, smelling like eggs, rotten eggs, that sulfur. I appreciated, I recognized the fact that we were living in really good conditions. I think my favorite, it's difficult saying favorite when you're talking about that environment. I appreciated the fact that we had ready access to the internet so that we can communicate with our loved ones. I appreciated the fact that we had the call center right there, the talk. And then obviously the gym, the DFAC, that little church right there. And that's just right within our immediate walking area. And then you had down in the center that base exchange And that stuff, the Papa John's and the Burger King, kind of made me feel weird. Like war, they call it war tourism, right? I think Sebastian Younger calls it war tourism or something like that. But it really does feel like that. It feels obscene, right? It's like, yo, we're here to accomplish a mission, and we're like setting up shop, selling big screen TVs to contractors and dumb privates and Xbox systems and all kinds of games. Where the fuck is your head at? Is what I was thinking. You know what I mean? Like,
All that
there's a
GWAT
part
money.
it's our money, and it's being misspent, and it's waste, fraud, and abuse in other terms. Okay. And so when I start to evaluate that, I start to see that, especially in hindsight, it disturbs me more and more. And the fact that it's still going on, the fact that you have a son who served an enlistment already for the Army and has been through his time is obscene to me. And so when we start talking about the best part of this and that, and blah, 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 I don't think there really should be a best part other than you and the squad and Ugly, my brothers and sisters that I sacrificed over there with and came back with, and am honored to call my brothers and sisters to this day. You're the best part of being over there. You know what I mean? But the memories I have from sitting on the stoop, listening to the Art LeBeau oldies that my mom sent me, looking at pictures and stuff, right? The things that brought me closer to home and reminded me of what I was fighting for to get back to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what inspired me. The other stuff, in all honesty, I feel war should suck. You shouldn't be that comfortable. We shouldn't be contracting out the things that we do to these private military contractors and these foreign nationals at the rates that we are. We shouldn't be using private military like we are. We should be using our forces, right? War hurts, war sucks. It's not intended to go on forever indefinitely, right? We need to feel those costs so that we get the objective done. But first of all, we have to have an objective. We have to have an end state, right? So I think that there's a lot of things, hopefully, that our other fellow platoon members can bring to the table to start from our end, at least, right? Military police, we set the standard of the troops and for the troops. I feel personally that we have been misusing our force, misallocating our resources, and we're starting to see the consequences and repercussions of that today.
Well said. I mean, glad you got a platform here. We all got a platform here to speak stuff like that. And Ricardo Pereyda, you are definitely well-spoken and a veteran of, letting your voice be heard in the politics part of it. So I want to take that and let you talk about your project, your Veterans for Marijuana. I know a lot of our viewers are not allowed to have any of that, but this is a fight that you're very passionate about, and we want to give you some time to talk about that about here. Why do you feel that veterans should be able to smoke marijuana?
Well, whatever their desired method of use is, whether it be vape, suppository, edible, traditional inhalation methods via cigarettes or bowls. First and foremost, it's about freedom of choice, something that we're told we go and fight for. So there's that, right? The other constitutional issues and whatnot that I feel passionately about as well. But when I got back, those of you who know me know what I was like in 2005.
Yeah.
And those of you who served with me from 2003 to 2005, I don't have to explain what I was like or what the pitfalls of being around Ricardo Pereyda were, right? My drinking was out of control. I was a liability in that respect. I did a lot of things that were not professional, that were uncalled for, disrespectful, that in all rights should have seen me catching cases, Article 15s, and other things. But I had leaders like you who were able to see past that very real liability, and have faith in me and of my ability to come through for the team, to come through for the squad and the platoon, you know, when it counted, when they needed me. But let's not gloss over the reality of the situation and what it is that I was feeling and going through. And especially when we got back, being around all those blasts jumbled my brain a bit. I was already confused coming back, a little kind of discombobulated, not sure what I was feeling, in a weird place. And I was drinking heavily. I would go out and get, you know, it was nothing for me to kill off 2 bottles of wine in my room alone, right? And then when I go out with other people, it was nothing for me to just sit there. I remember one night I out drank this Turkish dude that was challenging me to a shot for shot contest, and I just kept going. I was sick, I was fucking feeling whatever, but I didn't care, right? I ended up it took me to the hospital. There's times I had to go to the hospital in Germany and they gave me Valium, and the doctor was telling me, if you don't stop this, like, what are you doing? You're doing real damage to yourself. You know what I mean? Like, alcohol poisoning is real. People die from this, right? Binge drinking is not okay. You need to reconsider what it is that you're doing. But young Pereyda, whatever, like, no, this is what's up. Right? You're not going to tell me what to do, this and that. And so that behavior continued on when I got stateside. And all of a sudden I stopped showing up to formation. I stopped getting up to go to work. I stopped caring, like, all military bearing dropped. And I just did not care, right? And so that is not conducive to any kind of career in the military. That's not conducive to any type of healthy lifestyle or relationship building, professional networking, or anything, right? It's destructive. It's a slow form of suicide. And I was so full of self-pity and misery and just, ugh, that was my choice of suicide. Is what it, looking back on what it became, you know what I mean? And so that struggle persisted for a number of years while I began to go through therapy. And then the VA had me on a bunch of pills, right? And so I was taking pills with the booze. And then somewhere around 2009, my family did an intervention on me. They were like, hey man, look, we love you. You're loved. But we need you to understand that this behavior is not okay. And at the time I was living alone in Sierra Vista, right? Which is a good hour and a half or so away from where I'm at now in Tucson. And so my family came down to Sierra Vista with some other family friends of mine, and they did this intervention. They said, look, like, you say whatever you want to say, and we're going to be here for as long as it takes, right? But at the end of it, you're getting in the car and you're coming back with us. And then we're going to figure out what to do with the rest of this shit here. This shit being my home. This shit being all my personal stuff that I still had to figure out what to do with. So I was losing my home. My home was going into foreclosure, right? And stuff like that. There was the housing bubble. Got into a situation where all of a sudden my home was upside down. It wasn't worth shit. All the market was done. And so it was just like one thing after another, boom, 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 boom. Pity party, right? And so I got back in 2009, living with my parents, and it humbled me. It humbled me to such an extent that I knew. It's one thing to have people tell you and this and that constantly that you need to change and your behavior is disturbing to them or disruptive or damaging to the other people in your life. It's another thing when you realize it yourself. And so when I realized it for myself, then I decided that I needed to change. And so I took my happy ass to the VA. And I was 100%, I'd already been through the substance abuse treatment program through the VA. I'd already been an inpatient at the psychiatric unit and stuff. It went there. You know what I mean? And so I wasn't playing a game with them this time, in the sense that I wasn't just trying to get through the program so that I can just get the fuck away from that and just do what I wanted to do anyway. This time I was going in and saying, look, I need to change. And so I started working with my counselor, with my therapist, sincerely, in earnest, you know, going through options, what was out there. And then I started weaning myself off of the pharmaceutical cocktail that I was on that had me just in a state of what the fuck, right? And booze was just like, man, fuck. It would still play a part up until recently, but I ended up going back to school, to the University of Arizona, right? A really high stressed environment in and of itself. A lot of people on campus going back to class, trying to get in the flow and getting used to homework, getting used to being in large classrooms where there's a lot of things going on and you're trying to get specific information, right? Learning how to properly prepare for classes, because it's not like being in the military, right? And so I'm, again, from Tucson, Arizona, and cannabis is readily available here. It always has been for my entire life. It's always just been there, right? And so I started using cannabis. I didn't have a license for it. I didn't have a medical card. It wasn't legal, but I did it anyway. And I noticed first and foremost that it helped me sleep. And once I was able to get that good quality sleep, it helped me concentrate and focus on what it is that I needed to do and get done, right?
Yeah.
Which at that time was a lot of introspective work, doing my therapy, cognitive processing therapy, et cetera. You know what I mean? And then while I was going to class, I lived like 3 minutes from campus. So in between my my classes, I would walk home, medicate real quick, and I'd go back, and I was relaxed. I wasn't all hyper fucking vigilant, paying attention to what Joe Snuffy over here and Susie Crotch over there are doing or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? I was focused on the teacher, on my work, etc.
Yeah.
And so now, right, I got thrust into the advocacy world in 2013. It just so happens that on campus at the University of Arizona, there was this scientist who was looking to investigate the safety and efficacy of cannabis when used to treat treatment-resistant post-traumatic stress. Her name is Dr. Sue Sisley, right? And the organization that was sponsoring her work is the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, otherwise known as MAPS. And so during the 3 years up until I met this woman, I was in a unique situation in the sense that I was using cannabis discreetly. It's nobody's business what's in my medicine cabinet. It's working for me. The work that I'm doing in the community is a testament to that. The work that I did on campus is a testament to that. Like, I was able to do a lot of significant shit with some really awesome people. And the fact that I was using cannabis was completely and utterly irrelevant to the work that I was doing.
And you,
So it was a non-issue. And
you
so I
went to the government though, right? You had a meeting with a congressman, right?
Well, so in my position, again, that I was in, once I got on campus at the University of Arizona, like my first day there was on the Marine Corps birthday in 2009. And I went there off of the advice and suggestion of my therapist, Suzanne Perkins, if you're watching, shout out, right? From the Southern Arizona VA healthcare system.
Mm-hmm.
That woman saved my life. And so I went on campus and Gabby Giffords was there, giving a presentation on all the good work that this Veterans Education and Transition Services Center was doing, right? And then I met everybody. I literally met everybody on campus that I needed to meet. And by the end of that day, I was registered for fucking classes. I was already signed up and had my paperwork literally handed off to the people that needed to get it there. I completed my FAFSA online. I was dizzy. And the juxtaposition on how it was that I was living at that time that I got on campus and the opportunity that I saw was just captivating, right? Because I showed up there with my brother who had just gotten out of prison, right? I show up with this raw kind of what the fuck is this attitude? And then I'm just completely blown away by the reception that I got. And so I had found a home, you know what I mean? And once I got there, I started volunteering. I started coordinating community service projects. I started doing all kinds of stuff around the office, just finding things to do, being useful, right? Helping out when people needed help, setting up tailgates, tearing down tailgates, taking tours with various VIPs, Senator McCain, Admiral Mullen, all these other people, Congressman Grijalva, Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, right? And so working with all these people, and again, the fact that I use cannabis is irrelevant. I'm competent, I can learn, right? I have a disability, sure, but this is helping me. So I'm fully engaged in what it is that's going on here now. And again, my record proves that. So holding various leadership positions on campus, number one, it was nobody's business on what it was that was in my medicine cabinet. It was working for me, so it was working. I know it's working, that's all. Number two, I can't speak publicly, yay or nay, about this substance when I'm representing people on campus who hold all kinds of beliefs. As a leader, I'm neutral. And if, when I was approached about the scientific study wearing the leadership cap, my only response was, I look forward to the findings, because these are questions that need to be asked, need to be addressed. We need to find this out. We're living in a very dire situation with these people that are killing themselves at astonishing rates. And not to mention the abuse of pharmaceuticals. And so it was just real general kind of let's find answers shit. And then when I got out of those leadership positions, I just so happened to stumble into this fellowship program in the state of Arizona, the Flynn Brown Arizona Center for Civic Leadership. And Dr. Sisley is a fellow of that organization. And so then it was just like, man, okay, I'm gonna reach out to her because I've been following her work since 2010 on campus anyway. And now here's another connection. I'm not gonna pass this up. I wanna find out how I can help. And so once I graduated that program, we became good friends. We started working with each other, right? And I came out publicly about my cannabis use. My first interview was in October, I think, of 2013. And it was with like some of the heavy hitters, Dr. Raphael Meshulam, Dr. Rick Doblin from MAPS, and another veteran from the East Coast. And it was just like, okay, kid, tell your story. And so that put me right in the middle of this really big issue that was about to pop the fuck off. And so not even 6 months later that I started working with this doctor, she gets fired. She gets the axe from the University of Arizona. And the rumor is that it's a political hit job, right? And the catalyst for it appeared to be the fact that she had just received approval from the Health and Human Services Department to go ahead and actually do this study. So all the flag wavers, all the patriots on campus, Republicans and the political leadership and stuff that have been encouraging this. We look forward to the study. We look forward to the results, et cetera. Yeah. Of course, it's going to be done on campus. Even had to do a complete and separate bill saying that it could be done on campus, even though the University of Arizona is a level 1 research institute, right? It was a redundant piece of legislation, but they did it anyway. And as soon as Dr. Sisley got that approval, and all these Republican flag wavers and other academics who are looking now at federal funding and grants that may be jeopardized because of their support for pot research, they all started to backpedal. They couldn't get away fast enough. And all of a sudden, the funding got shut off. All of a sudden, Dr. Sisley's without a job. All of a sudden, just the kibosh is being put in all these levels, right? I even got blackballed from campus because of that and some other things that went down. And then ultimately, again, you know me, I earned it. If you're going to make an example of me, I'll make sure that example fits, right? And it'll be defined by me. So that work that kicked off set off like an international pulse. And all of a sudden, like I found myself doing interviews with BBC, the New York Times, all these other platforms. Was like, what the fuck is going on? I'm getting introduced to all these players that have been involved in this game, this cannabis movement for decades. Literally the first lady of cannabis, Alice O'Leary Randall, right? I'm introduced to, my mind is blown, right? I'm starting to learn all these things about these laws and prohibition, like really learn about them, the history of it, the history of the prohibition of this plant, and how information has been suppressed, research has been suppressed, patients have been targeted, persecuted, and unjustly brought before the court to present their cases, defend themselves against an overzealous government that knows they're wrong, right? And so this fight has been going on for years. And then recently during the quarantine, in August of last year, we sent out like a flare, a buddy check to see how all our buddies were doing, our veteran compatriots in this movement. And then we started checking in on each other, seeing what was new in their field, any new developments. And then that led to a discussion on here we are, this essentially think tank now, the Veterans Action Council is what it's called.
Yep.
What are we going to do? It's not a pact. It's not a licensed organization. It's a group of friends that came together and named it. What are we going to call this thing? It's fucking Veterans Action Council. Okay, cool, right? What are we going to be about? Well, changing laws. Okay, how are we going to do that? Well, boom, 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 boom. And recently, we published our white paper that is actually called the Green Paper. And it outlines, point by point, right, our issues from the medical patient side of the house with respect to these cannabis laws and the prohibition of this herb, right? Okay. It's 60 pages. It gives the history of this prohibition so that by the end of it, you're going to be able to grasp fully what has taken place and what it is that we're facing going forward. But we're not just focused on that issue. That's one of many, but that's what brought us together. And so heading in now with this quote unquote friendly administration, our work is to educate these legislators on why they should be making the moves that we are requesting them to make and keeping the pressure on. And if anybody wants to learn more, you can go to the veteransactioncouncil.com, right? We have a bunch of roundtables that we started where we're discussing these issues. And we just finished our 12th one that goes over the Green Paper. But it's an important issue. And right now we're just talking about the veteran side of the house, but there's an entire discussion that needs to take place around the alcohol culture in the military, the glorification of it, the overconsumption of it, right? But also, what do we have in our combat lifesaver bags? Because if you look at the patents that are held by our government on this plant, right, it's a neuroprotectant, okay? And if you get a highly concentrated dose, let's say RSO, or using an inhaler or some other kind of vape pen or something, you have that tucked in your combat lifesaver kit. If you're exposed or your troops are exposed to some kind of concussive blast, right? If you're able to administer that within that golden hour, we could possibly prevent or mitigate a lot of the negative consequences of traumatic brain injury, which, if you look at the symptoms, traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress mirror each other, okay? And when you start taking it further and you start looking into chronic traumatic encephalopathy, right? CTE, and what that does to the brain. And you start looking at brains like Aaron Hernandez, and you start looking at other brains of football players and looking at the concussions that they've had and stuff like that. And looking at some of the issues that they're dealing with as far as early onset dementia and other things that are very terrifying to think of as an individual, that may be your fate. You know what I mean? And then you look at the research that's being done with cannabis as far as its use for Alzheimer's patients, right? There's a lot there. There's a lot there.
Okay.
And I just went on like this whole tangent, man. I just took over this shit.
I noticed, but it's important. It's good. It's important to you. It's important to a lot of people, and I'm glad we could provide a platform for that. Before we go, though, on this segment, I want to ask you about some things with people in the platoon from the first ones. Let's hear some of your favorite people. Who are some of your favorite people in the OIF2 Ugly Platoon? You know, outside outside our team. I mean, outside of our squad.
Oh, well, fuck, man.
Come on, you can do it. You can do it.
Everybody's unique, man, and they bring their own little special flavor. And looking back at it now, I respect each of them for their own little quirks and whatnot. And I'm really looking forward to touching base and seeing where everybody's at. You know what I mean? But that's not a fair question, because my go-to, my answer is my team and my squad. And then I'm happy to know the rest of them.
All right. Fair enough. All right. Fair enough. Well, Rick, I appreciate you being on the show, and I can't wait to have you on again for a different topic. Is there anything you want to say before we depart?
Nah, man, I love you, dude. And I'm looking forward to being able to hug on you in person someday in the near future. Maybe we can get a reunion.
Definitely. Love you too. All right, brother. All right, you guys, we look forward to more of these interviews of Ugly members. Can't wait to hear all of your experiences, memories, and what you're doing now. All right, we'll see you next time.